Hey, welcome everyone. I'm Hey, welcome everyone.
Sorry. Okay, we're live.
Great. So we're live. We're going to be starting shortly. Thank you everyone for joining. Today we have Dennis with us and to ask questions and answer the polls that we're going to do as an icebreaker. Feel free to scan this QR code or go to slido.com and put this code. We will be giving a little bit more, maybe 30 seconds to start as sharp as possible. And we're very excited for today's talk to have Dennis with us. He is bringing a really interesting topic. And yeah, thank you for joining. If it's the first time that you're joining, feel free to leave on the chat from where you're joining, what are you expecting to see today. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. And thank you to our community to join many Tuesdays in the evening with us. So it's already 5:01, so let's get started. Welcome everybody to today's live stream from Product People. Today we are going to be having Dennis Teichmann talking about the conflict of interest between sales and product. He's the CEO and co-founder of Bond AI, and he is bringing really interesting insights to the table. I'm going to be hosting today. My name is Andrea, and I work at Product People as a growth marketing manager. I've been with Product People for a year and a half now, managing everything related to social media, PR, marketing strategy, and so on. And I'm based in Spain. I'm based in Barcelona. And well, I really been enjoying my time at Product People. And if you're wondering what we do, what is product people? Well, long story short, we do interim product management, product leadership, and product operation via 42 in-house employees. And one of our pillars and one of our mottos is to share knowledge generously. We're really passionate about product management and best practices and giving back to our community. And that's why we have this big community. Currently, it's around 33K members on LinkedIn. And we create free events and talks for this big product management communities. So we want to get to know you. So to break the ice, we're going to start with a poll. About the topic that I was presenting. And the question is, what are the reasons you don't like working with sales? Option A, it's salespeople. Option B, they oversell. Option C, they don't understand our product. And option D, I have no issues with sales. So feel free to go to slido.com to answer the code and answer the poll. Really excited to see what the results are going to be. I have my bet about what's going to be the most popular answer. I don't know Dennis' view too, but let's give it a few more seconds and see how it's doing. Remember that you can also scan the QR code if you want to, or if it's easier for you to enter the code. Okay, we have the first answer. Well, it's even. We have 50% they oversell and another 50% I have no issues with sales. My bet was on option B. So I think we weren't that far from it. I don't know, Dennis, maybe you can share your 50 cents about this poll when you do your presentation. And well, now let's give the stage to Dennis. And as we mentioned, he's going to be talking about the conflict in between sales and products. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Dennis, it's going to be your turn. The stage is yours.
Wonderful. Thanks for the introduction, Andrea. First of all, let me share my screen. Just a second. Should be working now. Can you confirm that you see something?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. No, perfect. So it's a wonderful topic, and just to make one thing clear in the beginning, I'm a salesperson, so I'm not a product person normally. And I think this issue or this conflict of interest between sales and product is one of the most important questions that you have to raise when you want to scale a startup, a SaaS company, a software company, especially because there's lots of tensions between those teams. And as you answered, like in the poll, when I was selecting the options, I was even thinking about adding a fifth option, like combining all the three, because literally product people normally don't like salespeople. They think they oversell and they don't understand the product. And I think it's partly also true. So a bit you're true with it, but on the other side, of course, there's also an angle where you see the other side, the sales side. And of course, they have also issues with product. And I will come to this in this presentation. I try to make it balanced. Let's see whether I can do, but still I'm a salesperson, but I was in a role as a CPO. I will explain in a second. So a bit about myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I already scaled a software company to a successful exit. It was an HR tech software, Yakando. I exited the company in 2022. Right now, I'm building new products and I'm building new tech products. My personal background is I studied economics. I'm a 43-year-old. I have two sons, and I have before this, I have a kind of traditional background. I was 10 years in strategy consulting. And you see on the number 6 what I'm doing right now. So I'm building, first of all, Bond AI, which is my core focus. And Bond AI is literally a customer intelligence platform which tries to improve sales decisions based, and that's a fun fact for today, based on product data mainly. So understanding what the customer is doing, what the potential customer is doing, and find out what has this kind of impact for salespeople. So let me start with the most important question for today. I wanna explain or point a bit out what would be the ideal collaboration between product and sales, and not that I know everything out of my mind and know how it's perfectly done. I just know what went wrong in my previous ventures. So I have some lessons learned. I spoke to a lot of people, and I think if you make this topic right, you have a higher chance and higher probability of being successful as a company as a whole. So first, what's the actual issue between product and sales team? And now I come from a theoretical background, not with practical stories, but the question is, what is the issue between product and sales? I think, and that's very important also to understand that there's an issue from both sides. So let's look on the product side. So I took this product field sales is hostile. So that you really take them as an enemy. And if you Google a bit about it, you find immediately this article from AHA, which is a product management software, from the AHA blog, where literally the head is product manager should do when the sales team is hostile. And if you ever spoke like to other product people, you hear it a lot. The salespeople are not with you. They are not collaborative. They are not supportive. So you often feel there's really a mismatch between what sales wants and what the product team wants. And I think generally there's a really deep conflict between product and sales, which has a really long way to damage the product, but also to damage the sales reputation. So there's a big issue. And as you see on the right, the summary from the AHA blog, and of course this is written from the product perspective, is more like there's a deep conflict, always damage the product, customers, and the business. So it's clear product feels sales is a bit as a hurdle, as an issue, because they don't get what you are doing. Now, let's go to the other side and take just 20 seconds to read this small cartoon. This example of this cartoon is a quite typical situation. So you have someone from the sales team going to the product guys and say, oh, look, when is a new version available? And the product and the team is answering, yeah, in a year or in two. Then it goes on with the discussion and they say, oh, I cannot sell like this because the old product is not able to be sold, or you can also bring this down to features. It must not be a full new product release. And the interesting thing is then the business side, like the commercial side, it goes up to the CEO, and the CEO says, just we need the new version by Tuesday. And this is exactly describing the issue from the other side. Because as sales, you always need the best product. You need always a product which is marketable, which is available, and you need it now. You don't need it tomorrow. You don't need it next week. And if you need it next week, you need it reliable in next week. So it's exactly the opposite side. So for salespeople, it's super difficult to work with a product which is either not there, is not functioning, is not present, or the release dates are always shifted in the future. That's the other side. Why is this literally happening? And this is a very interesting illustration from a Medium blog post between sales and product management. I will not go into detail. I mean, I'm not sure whether we share the presentation later, but if you have those details, the interesting thing is you have here on the left the core message from sales rep, the product is garbage. That's really their feeling. So of course, they complain about everything. Salespeople complain a lot. Leads are not good. The pricing is not working. The competitor's product is better. The product is garbage. The demo sucks because you don't have demo data. So there's a lot depending on the product quality, on the product availability, and also on the competitive positioning of the product for the salespeople. So this is deeply in. On the other side, you have exactly the opposite. So they think the product is quite good, but they say the sales team cannot sell. It's not my fault if the product is wrong, and then they even shift it to the tech people. So you have really a strong issue in terms of responsibility. So sales says literally, I cannot sell if the product is not working. Product says, it's not my problem if you cannot sell. And this is one of the biggest issue, if not the single biggest issue, if you really want to scale a software company. Because it only works when those two parties are working together, literally. And I will come to this in a second. And why is this a fact? Because literally, of course, if you want to grow from zero, from 500,000 of revenue to a larger scale, you need to have a product. On the other side, someone needs to sell. And both parties need to understand each other a bit better in order to achieve better results. And this is exactly the finding theoretically, and I will come to the practical conclusions, because right now we are still on a textbook level. So, and what kind of situation you normally have then in startups? You have the bottom left corner, which is a horrible corner, because you have a really bad product which is not working, which is crappy, which is buggy, whatever you name it, and you have a sales team which is not performing, so it's not able to work. Literally, this is a dead end. So you're done in this area. On the opposite, on the top right corner, it's the opposite, of course. Everything is working, everything is smoothly, and just to make your expectations right, this never exists. I never saw a product which is state-of-the-art and a very good sales team. Either you have products, just an example, for example, Slack is a product which is positioned by the product, so it's product-led growth. So it's really it's a convincing product. It has no issues at all. There's a limited amount of issues, and sales is not so important. So also, given the reduced importance, it leads that the quality of the sales team is not super good. On the other side, you have then the question, what happens if you have a mediocre product but a very good sales team? And this is happening if you have sales-led growth. Because if you have, for example, complex products which are very broad, a complete HR software, a complete accounting software, then you need so many features, you cannot build them everything in the beginning. What you need to do is you need to sell and make promises. And those promises, of course, pay in the end the price in terms of a mediocre or bad product. So you have to start at one angle. And this depends on the corporate strategy. Is it a product-driven growth or is it a sales-driven growth? Which does not mean you can ignore the second dimension. You're just saying why and how are you growing? So either with sales or with product. But this also means the second dimension is still pretty important. You have to keep them at least on an okay level, ideally above it. This is theoretical foundation. Now I will explain you a bit about my personal past, like from a case study of my company, Yacanto. So Yacanto is a software as a service provider located in Basel in Switzerland. The company provides like a full-fledged HR software. So literally everything what you can do in HR, recruiting, administration, talent management, time tracking, performance management. So it's a very, very broad software. We started in 2012 building the product, and it took a while until we had a first product because it's very complex to build all of this. And if you know the industry a bit, like major competitors are like Personio, like Hybob, like Factorial, other players like this. And those were funded each of them with 300 million of funding. So they are really big and complex products. So, and what we do at Yacanto, how was our journey? And unfortunately, sometimes I only have German screenshots because of the Wayback Machine where I got the screenshots from. So the strategy was 2016, we started with the HR software with an ATS, or with a recruiting system. And what's very interesting in the beginning, as we were coming from a different business model. So we were doing before like kind of a marketplace model, which literally failed. So we did a pivot in the business model. So we started to have an ATS, an e-recruiting system. It was innovative. It was clearly targeted. We know what we wanted to do. It was a kind of focused product because we did not know in the beginning. So literally the product was very crappy because we did not understand the features. And also our sales was very bad because literally we were just shouting in the market and trying, who wants to buy e-recruiting? We don't know how it's working, but we want to understand and want to build the perfect product for you. So literally we just had understood a niche, but still we did not have any successful sales strategies. What happens a year after? A year after, we understood the features and the quality quite good. So this was sales-led growth. We started with selling the product in terms of, we were sitting together with the major clients and we're saying, look, what do you need in terms of e-recruiting? What do you need in terms of performance management? What do you need in terms of administration to make a really good product? This was super successful in sales because the customers felt understood. So we were really noting down and saying, okay, we know what you want. We were listing down the features. But of course, the downside of this strategy is first we had the ideas, then we had the sales, and afterwards we could only step by step implement it. And that's also the finding on the top, on the bottom right corner, saying although sales was super strong and super successful, our product was mediocre. It was working, but it was slow. It was behind the expectation. We were overselling literally because this is part of a sales-led growth strategy. Then a year afterwards, we went to hot end sales, and I'm very honest with this. So what we did, we sold and sold and sold, and we sold really a lot. But we were so successful that we had so many feature requests in the product pipeline. The product could not deliver anymore, and we had to ship features too early, which resulted in a high bug ratio. So literally what happened here, our sales was still very, very good, but the product was breaking. So we really had issues to be successful. We were losing, the churn rate went up as a consequence of overselling. So this was a fault literally of pushing the sales strategy too hard. And then we even did another step driven by our investors to go international. So we were even launching additional markets. So we were even trying to bring this to new markets, although we did not catch a significant market share yet in the German-speaking countries. So as a result, the product was still bad because we still had all the feature pipeline. On top, there came some internationalization request of putting the software in additional languages and also to comply with international regulations. But still also our sales was breaking because we had a small team and tried to sell in several markets at the same time, which did not work. Then what we did do, we literally restructured. So we went back, if I just go back a couple of charts, we went back to the 2017 strategy. So we were selling with understanding the market, sitting very closely with the customers and also building features by features, step by step. But this meant our sales strategy was super successful and had super cool results. As a result, we had a clear understanding what must the product deliver in the end. So again, product was a bit behind, it was a bit lagged because we are still sales-led growth, but the product was stable again. We all furbished out all the bugs that we had from the previous phases, and this literally worked out. So we could sell, and could say, look, we don't have this feature now, but we can deliver this in 3-6 months. And this worked in close collaboration. And that's also the second thing which changed before the 2020 years. I personally was responsible for both teams. So I was operationally responsible for sales and I was operationally responsible for product. And this is a big, big clash, because then you take every new feature which comes into the pipeline and just put it on top to product and say operationally to the tech guys, literally do it. And this did not work. In 2021, we had a dedicated product team, and the product teams was from time to time literally saying, no, we cannot deliver this in 3 or 6 months, or even we cannot deliver this feature anyhow because it does not make sense. So what are the key learnings from the personal case study? First of all, you need to decide which kind of strategy you wanna go. So either you have a product-led growth or you have a sales-led growth. There are only those two ways. Right now in textbook literature, there's a new trend coming up, which is combining both. I'm not convinced this really works. On the long run, I think you have to decide whether you're driving by understanding the market or by delivering an exceptional product. That's my personal conviction. My also experiences as well, if the product gets very complex as a startup, as a young company, you will never have the resources to compete with the existing players. The only thing that you can do better to compete, for example, with SAP or other big players like Oracle or Microsoft or whatever, is only to understand the market. And understanding the market means talking to the customers, listing down the features that make really a difference between the existing old-fashioned products and your new product. And that's the reason why normally complex products go hand in hand with a sales-led growth strategy. And what I also mentioned before is, if the company focuses on one area, like sales, they cannot forget the other part, because you have seen in my case study, we had two situations where the company was literally in a very, very bad situation. Because once the product is in a bad shape, this reflects within months directly to the customer satisfaction, which reflects again to reviews, which reflects again to word of mouth. So this is a chain which is very tricky to stop. Second findings, what I constructed like together also from my experience, but also together with other founders, is like, what are the guidelines between product and sales? And the first one is key. The first one is super key. Just understand each other's roles and accept it as well. Because the sales role is super difficult. If you sell a new product in the market with existing players, it's a tough one. The product role is a sandwich position. So you're between the customer-facing teams and the tech team. So it's super challenging. Both parties need to understand that they have value in the organization, and that a successful company needs both. And the second one is what people always try to avoid. You have to talk together. And I know salespeople are not easy to talk to because they talk a lot and they don't stop talking. But it's very important that you get the insights from the market and really understand what is the issue, what is the problem, what are we trying to solve. And then finally, and this is of course a leadership issue, you should align on goals. So this means literally you don't have the goal to deliver an exceptional product for nothing, and you don't have the target just to sell without delivering a product. So literally the targets are normally you have a given revenue target plus a customer base which is satisfied. And then collaborate together and handle conflict. So this comes back to number 2. Communicate continuously. And the final conclusion is, for me, and I'm a salesperson, I'm a bit biased. Everybody is a bit in sales. And this is a joke again from the cartoon series. But very important message is literally you are building a product to let it be so it can be sold. So this is very crucial, and this also has to be accepted on the other side by the product team. We are not building products so it's nice or beautiful or has a super cool UX. The main target for building products is you want to sell it. And so literally also product people are, for me, doing sales, because if they deliver something exceptionally good, it supports sales in a way that helps just a lot. These are my findings from this presentation. And now I think, Andrea, we are going to a Q&A session. Is this correct?
Yes, It is correct. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was great. If you want, if you can stop sharing your screen, I'm going to start sharing mine where we can find, like the code and everything so people can start the Q&A. So, thank you so much. Thanks for your presentation and thank you to everybody who joined today. And now we're going to go into the Q&A session. So feel free to submit your questions also on slido.com using this code or using the QR code. It's the same that we use for the poll. So if you already voted there or you are already in there, you can still submit your questions there. So in the meantime, while we collect all the questions, I'm going to keep explain a bit more about product people to give the audience a bit of time, and then we will go fully into the Q&A. I hope you're ready, Dennis. So yes, about prop people. Many people questions when it's the right time to engage us or when do you need like interim fractional product managers. Usually, we see three use cases. The first one being interim or fractional product management, then being product coach or consultant, or three, doing product discovery. Or most frequent use case is the first one for interim fractional product managers, and that might be when you need to cover a permanent position. For example, when you're hiring, product roles usually take a lot of time of hiring, so we bridge the gap while you're hiring. Also, for example, for parental leaves, that can be from 3 to 12 months. And many times also we get in the company when it comes to important and urgent initiatives. Like, for example, driving product discovery, or you received sudden funding and you need someone to start moving the needle. That's when we get in. Another use case is as a product coach or simply as a consultant. If you want, coach your product management team or create and streamline processes and programs, focus on growth, focus on scaling, then we can jump into and share our knowledge together over the years with you. And then another use case is when it comes to product discovery. Like, for example, if you're in a period where if you want to do market and user research and business model, we can help you with that. Or for example, if you want to run a low or no code pilot or an MVP to discover EDA, then align the team, then we can help you with that too. Here you can see some of our B2C clients like Zalando, Deep Blinkist, Backmarket, and Douglas. But we have also worked with B2B clients like the World Health Organization, Astrify, Remote.com, and Utopia Music. And here you have a bit of our stats. We've supported around 200 cross-functional teams and more than 70 clients from Series A startups to publicly listed companies. We have 42 product leaders and product managers in-house and full-time on our payroll. We do this to ensure the quality of service and also to ensure strong career development for everybody on our team. And 62% of our team are women and 66% are in leadership. And we have a strong bias to promote from within and, attract more women to the tech industry. Okay, so it's time for the Q&A. Let me check which questions we have. Okay, so the first question we have for you, Dennis, is, are there any questions I shouldn't ask to sales as a PM?
I don't think so. I think it's very good that you understand the full fledged of salespeople. So I would not say that there's something that you should not ask. I think there's even something that you should start talking to them and even visiting them in their meetings, so that you have a client demo and you just listen to them and understand what are the issues, what are they tackling, also how's the product perceived. So I don't think there are questions which you should not ask. Maybe you should not talk about the commission, but that's another thing.
Thank you so much for your answer. I hope that was a question. If not, feel free to leave more questions on Slido. And we have another question for you, and it says, how would you suggest approaching an internal sales unit on the topic? Please follow our great processes.
That's a complex one. Can you come again? It was slightly interrupted. Sorry.
Yes, the full question is, how would you suggest approaching an internal sales unit on the topic? Please follow our great processes.
Yeah, so I think if you want to build up like an internal sales unit, you need really to understand the both departments and both value propositions and both challenges all the time. So I think it's very important if you talk about agreed processes, it's difficult to remind them, because also you could say there was an agreed timeline to deliver a feature. And I think it should be not the discussion between sales and product pointing out what went wrong, but trying to deliver an exceptional product for exceptional customers. And this means going hand by hand and not pinpointing on problems.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And another question we have is, what are some ways or strategies to define what sellable means for a product?
That's a very good question. I think you have two types of products, as I mentioned. So you have the complex one, and then it's literally sit together with 10, 15 clients and really understand what is their pain and what can you change about this. So how can you solve the pain? For smaller products, like for like a Slack product went very, very viral because the product is also new. It's a new category of product. It was not existing at all. So they saw the issue, they saw the problem, and they positioned as an excellent product solution. So this works a bit different. So you propose a product and see how the market is perceiving it. I think those two strategies are different depending on the product complexity.
That makes total sense. And there's another one that says, this is slightly out of scope here, adding marketing. What's your view on the PM's relationship with sales and marketing?
It's a very good question, because now we can open really another discussion, because also sales and marketing already have tensions, because marketing is already saying, why are you not selling? So it's the same question that product people are asking, and sales is asking, why I'm not getting leads. So it's literally the same discussion. But again, we need to understand that you need all the three. So you need a marketing, otherwise you would not be perceived on the market. If you don't have sales, nobody is signing and paying for the product. And if we don't have the product, nothing is happening at all. And I think between marketing and product, there should be also a lot interlinking, because marketing is knowing what are the search volumes, what are the pain points, what are the things. And so product needs to know this as well, to understand first, not only what should the product solve, but also how is it perceived. So what do we need to put in front? What are the keywords? What are the main pain points that customers are searching for?
Yeah, well, as a marketing person myself, I fully agree. Uh, yeah, it's an intersection between the two of them. It's actually needed to move anything forward, because pointing at each other and saying you don't sell and you don't have leads, at the end it doesn't lead anywhere. Another question we have, it says, thanks for the presentation. It was very insightful. What are some suggestions to prioritize the product features to implement when in a product-oriented stage?
Also, a very good question. I think when you are very new to the market, really talk to the customers, and I mean one by one. I mean, you will win so much in exchange for a bit of time. The insights, if a customer says, look, you have in mind the Slack integration, but nobody's asking for it. We don't need it. We don't need this. This helps a lot if you really talk to reliable customers. On the longer run, I'm a big fan of feature boards. So once you have some tractions, ask your existing customers, what must we change? But also ask them, and I think this should be like a big relief for product people, also ask them, what is the feature that you're not using, or check what are the features that you don't need, because you can really depreciate them and reducing product complexity.
Great. And well, we're having more and more questions. The next question is, how can teams build collaborative relationships? Are there metrics to help both parties? And how can empathy and motivation be aligned between groups?
It's a difficult one because it's a very soft one. So I don't think, yeah, of course you can measure everything with KPIs, but I think generally there are some core KPIs, and the core KPIs is growth. The core KPI is customer satisfaction. There's something like NPS. So you have to balance those KPIs, looking on a good product, looking on a good customer success, looking on a good sales, looking good on a marketing strategy. So they're like KPIs, but I think as soon as the teams, and this is of course reflecting a lot the leaders, if the leaders are enforcing communication, it works out a lot. So if you really can bring them together, having weekly, monthly exchanges, forcing, for example, product people to join demonstrations, but on the other side, also forcing salespeople into sprint plannings. So really to understand what the hell are they doing if they talk about a sprint planning. Most salespeople don't understand. Also, sit a salesperson sometimes at least once a year, write to a developer to understand what is he doing, because they need to understand that there's not just a line of code, that there are a lot of complexity behind it.
Yes, well, I agree. There's a lot of complexity behind it. We have, I think it might be the last questions. I'm not sure. Feel free to keep dropping questions. We still have a bit of time. And the next question is, what's the secret to success when aligning the three groups to customer needs: sales, marketing, and product?
I think first of all, you need to be very, very open and honest regarding the strategy. So if you have a sales-led growth strategy, don't say the most important KPI is NPS, because it's not. Literally, the most important KPI then is sales KPIs, which is like, for example, new ARR per sales representative, or sales growth, etc. So be transparent with this one. Also to say there is kind of a hierarchy. We go with a sales approach, or we go with a product approach, is very important for all parties. And then I think very important is bringing them together. I mean, I cannot stress this point more often. I think very important is bringing those parties together. Put them in an office. Don't build silos. Really communicate, exchange, and also if you like doing a product roadmap, discuss them with marketing. Discuss them with sales, or give those teams at least the feeling that they have a take on it. It's clear that product takes the final decision on the roadmap, but I think it helps a lot if product just said, can you live with this roadmap? What's your view on this? Do you have questions on it? Talk to them and make yourself like understandable, what you have in your mind, what's your strategy, what's your plan. And this helps a lot of people, because if you say, yeah, we need 3 months, 6 months to build this feature, everybody will say, why? And then you have to answer why, and then they get it. And they can also justify this again for the customers, and also to reason why there's an increased pricing, for example.
Yeah. And oh, we'll have one more question. That wasn't the last one. So, how have you brought scaling to sales insights beyond just subjective perspective or anecdotal evidence?
Yeah, I think it's several things. So I'm in the software industry now since 12, 13 years. So I worked, of course, mainly for Yakanto. I'm raising or starting now a new venture. I'm involved in a couple of software projects where I'm an advisor. I'm invested in a sales project. Like on the long run, you see patterns. You see a lot of patterns why companies are successful or not. And you really see strict patterns. And those things are, for example, is there a strict separation between product and sales? Is there a good communication in the team? And this is not only reflecting this product sales, issue discussion that we are having today. So that it's like you feel it's rarely about the actual product or the actual value proposition. It's mostly about those soft factors, communication, embedding of all parties, of all stakeholders. And if you see this, you can apply this literally to all use cases in the company. Once you have this positive collaborative atmosphere, it's just so much more productive, and this results in a better product and therefore also in better sales.
Yeah, fully agreed on that. And I think that's the last question. Yeah. So if you want Dennis to give like final thoughts or share some final reflection, we will be wrapping up the live stream shortly.
Sure. So I think my major takeaway generally is be careful in building silos, and the discussion about product and sales is literally a silo discussion, because sales does not want to understand how a product is created, and product does honestly mostly not like to understand how sales really is working. And I think if you want to be successful in a company, you need to understand the full value chain of a product. And this starts in product, it's true, but it goes on to development, it goes on to sales and marketing, and it goes also to customer success and also operations, which we often forget. So you have to really understand the full value chain. And I think everybody should take the time to talk to the people from other departments, because it's very easy to complain. Try to understand it.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your presentation today. It was great to have you here. It was very insightful, and usually it was very fresh to bring the perspective of sales into the table, especially whilst, we're a product management consultancy, so we see a lot of product around here, and sometimes we don't see that much of sales. So I'm sure our community appreciated it. And thank you to everybody who joined today and listened to the talk. The talk will be available on our YouTube channel. We recorded, we will publish it there in case people want to see it afterwards or someone couldn't join today. So thank you very much, and well, see you next week, everybody. Dennis, if you want to stay with us for a little longer, that will